inside everything is going on, preparing for Shabbos. Baruch Hashem, we have an Erev, so that first mission has been accomplished. The Shabbos, I apologize for the glare, but I hope everybody can see and hear appropriately. Today is the fifth day of Chodesh Shvat, and we are at the top of the next Mishnah. That's what we're holding, the top of Tzadi Hey Amud Aleph, where the Mishnah tells us as follows. Ma ben Pesach Rishon L'Sheni. What is the difference between Pesach Rishon, the 14th of Nisan, going to the 15th of Nisan, Pesach Sheni, the makeup date of the 14th and 15th of Iyar? Says the Mishnah, Harishon also b'bal yer b'al yimatzeh. The first Pesach, there is a prohibition of ownership of chametz. B'al yer b'al yimatzeh. What we discussed in the first parak. V'hasheni, with regards to the second Pesach, chametz u'matzah imam b'bayis. You are allowed to have chametz and matzah with you at home. There's no prohibition of ownership of chametz. Rishon ta'an halal ba'achilasai. The first Pesach requires halal to be said while you are eating it. That is the halal at the seder. V'hasheni ein ta'an halal ba'achilasai. And the second Pesach does not require halal while you are eating it. However, both first Pesach and second Pesach require halal while you are preparing the Korban Pesach, meaning bishas shchita. And they are eaten roasted. Both of them have to be eaten roasted. Those halachas the same. Al matzah and merorim. They are both eaten together with matzah and maror. V'dochenes haShabbos. And they both override the observance of Shabbos, meaning if it was a 14th of Iyar that fell out on a Shabbos, so then you would bring the Korban Pesach Sheni on Shabbos as well. Okay, says the Gemara as follows, quoting from the Brisa. Tana Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught as follows in the Brisa: Kechol chukas haPesach yaso esai. That the pasuk says by Pesach Sheni that you should bring the Korban Pesach second time around, meaning Pesach Sheni, in accordance with all of the halachas of Pesach. Now the Brisa is going to darshan what this means. The pasuk is talking explicitly about the things that are intrinsic to the Korban Pesach, meaning the things that are essential to the Pesach itself. And we're going to differentiate between things that are part of the mitzvah of Korban Pesach and things that are tertiary to the Korban Pesach. Mitzvah she'al gufan minayin. How do you know that you also have to observe the things that are tertiary to the Pesach? For example, eating it together with matzah and maror. That is not about the Korban Pesach itself. So to this end, says the pasuk, Talmud Lomer al matzos u'merorim yachlu. You have to eat it together with matzah and maror. That is the pasuk before the pasuk that we quoted before. Al matzos u'merorim yachlu, and then lo yashim mimenu al boik v'esem lo yishbru bai kechol chukas haPesach yaso esai. There's three mitzvahs that are listed here, which is eat it al matzos u'merorim. That's in pasuk Yud Aleph, and then lo yashim mimenu al boik, the isur of noisar, and then v'esem lo yishbru bai, the isur of breaking a bone. Those are the three mitzvahs that are listed here. Says the Brisa, Yachal afilu mitzvah shaloi al gufay. Maybe the pasuk also includes, meaning maybe the pasuk with kachol chukas haPesach yaso, so to do it with all the chukas haPesach includes even mitzvah shal gufay. Maybe that also includes those mitzvahs. Talmud Lomer ve'etzem lo yishbru bai. No, the pasuk says don't break any bones. Ma'ashviras etzem yuchad mitzvah shebegufay av kol mitzvah shebegufay. When the pasuk tells you it specifies with regards to mitzvahs that are like not breaking any bones, and therefore the pasuk also has to tell you eat together with matzah and maror. Meaning, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, that there seems to be some specification and some exclusions with regards to which things are obligatory and which are not with regards to Pesach Sheni. So far, the Brisa is telling me I've called mitzvah shebegufay that etzem lo yishbru bai together with kechol chukas haPesach yaso, so tells me that I need to bring my Korban Pesach together with when I bring my Korban Pesach, it has to be with all of the mitzvahs of Pesach that are intrinsic to it, but not necessarily all of the mitzvahs that are not intrinsic to it. Says the Brisa, Isa ben Yehuda disagrees with the Tana Kama here. Yasu also, you should do it, make it, prepare it, right? This is clearly talking about chukas Pesach yasu. So that's talking about mitzvah shebaguf. Now, what exactly is the is the objection of Isi ben Yehuda. It seems to be that Isi ben Yehuda is disagreeing. It says that all of the mitzvahs shebaguf are included in Kol Chukas HaPesach Yaso, and now you don't need a pasuk to tell me Etzem Lo Yishbru Bai and Lo Yishim Mimenu Ad Boker, because that's all included in Yaso. Amamar. And we're gonna analyze these pieces in a bit. Amamar, the Brisa is finished. The Gemara is now trying to analyze the Brisa. Amamar says the Master says the Amoraim in Al Gemara. Maybe you could say that even things that are not included as part of the essence of the Korban Pesach should be included. Ha'amaret, however, you just said. Mitzvah shebaguf akas medaber, that the Torah here is talking about only the mitzvah shebaguf. So why would you now assume that this includes mitzvah shalai mitzvah shebaguf? Hachikamar says the Gemara. No, this is the question that we are asking and answering in the Brisa. Now that the pasuk has told me al matzah that I have to eat it together with matzah maror, alma yasu osa lav davkehu. It tells me that yasu osa is not to be taken as mitzvah shebagufay. Meaning, now that you've told me about matzahs maror, so it's clearly not just talking about mitzvah shebaguf. Mitzvahs of the Korban Pesach itself. It includes more things. Ema havalei keprat uklal. Maybe we could then say that what the Bryce is learning, or the way the Torah is speaking, is that there is a prat and a klal, that there is a specific halacha and then a general halacha. V'naseh klal moisev al prat. And the klal now is expanding the scope of the prat. You have a specific halacha, yaso, and then al matzah marorim, which is a klal that it should be included in broader definitions. So, which would include that you should also have to get rid of your chametz, which is a non-intrinsic mitzvah. Va'afilu kol milinami. And all things should be included in this. Kamash malan, that's not the case. Meaning, what the Bryce is telling me is that I shouldn't learn it as a klal, as a pratu klal. Isi ben Yehuda. What about Isi ben Yehuda? Hi etzem my avile. So according to Isi ben Yehuda, that thinks that Chol Chukas HaPesach Yaso includes all of the things that the pasuk has said already. So why does he need the pasuk to say ve'etzem lo yishbru bai? Says the Gemara, mibayle, he needs it le'echad etzem sheyesh b'mach ve'echad etzem she'en b'mach. From that which we saw on Pei Hey, the 10 blats ago, that the pasuk ve'etzem lo yishbru bai teaches us that there is an issur of breaking a bone, both if there is no marrow in it and if there is marrow in it, that there is an issur of breaking all bones of the Korban Pesach. Says the Gemara, okay, Van, Rabbanan the Tanakama, Yaso Osai, my Avile. What are they going to do with Yaso Osai? They don't need Yaso Osai because you have Etzem Lo Yishbru Bai and Lo Yishim Mimenu Ad Boker and Al Matzah Marorim Yochlu. You don't need the pasuk of Yaso Osai to teach you anything. So says the Gemara, no, you do need it to teach me the simple reading of the pasuk is that is in the plural, that you should not you should attempt not to make a Korban Pesach only for one singular individual, that as much as possible you try to ensure that you don't have a singular person on a Korban Pesach, and this might include, some of the Rishon Rashi suggests, at least the way that the Sasamis explains in the Tosfos, that you try to make sure that there is somebody else that's going to bring the Korban Pesach with this fellow, even if that means being metameh somebody with Hasheretz by the first Pesach, to make sure that you don't only have one singular individual bringing a second Pesach, that's shot in the Pasuk, that Korban Pesach shouldn't be only one individual bringing Korban Pesach, Pesach Sheni. Okay, next Brisa, which we're going to discuss all of these psukim once again. Tana Rabban, the Brisa says as follows: you should do it according to all of the halachas of Pesach. That's how the pasuk says. You might have thought the same way that there is an issur of owning the chametz for first Pesach. There's an issur of owning a chametz second Pesach. Talmud Lemer, the pasuk comes along and says that you have to eat it together with matzah and maror. How does that answer the question? Ve'ein li ela mitzvahs eseh. and I only know that there is a mitzvah's essay of eating together with matzah maror. Mitzvah's lois hase minayin. How do I know that there is an isur of any lois hase, that there's any negative commandment at all that accompany Pesach Sheni? Don't leave anything until the morning. Good, and that tells me that there's an isur. Yeah, but it doesn't tell me that there is no isur of. It doesn't tell me anything about the isur of owning chametz. So ve'enli ella mitzvahs lois haseh shenitag lase. Yeah, I know that there is an isur of noisar, but noisar can be fixed with it's a nitag lase. You can fix it the next morning by burning the noisar. How do I know that I'm not allowed to own chametz? It says mitzvahs lois haseh gomer minayin. How do I know that there is any mitzvahs lois haseh gomer? That there is any completely asur things that cannot be fixed in any way? Talmud the pasuk says, don't break any bones. So now you have three categories. You have the mitzvah of eating it, positive mitzvah, eating it with matzah maror. Negative mitzvah, don't leave anything over until morning, but that can be fixed with an essay. And a fully negative mitzvah, don't break any bones. Says the Brisa, Maha Prat Mefurish, just as the specific dinim are given in these three cases, which is mitzvah's essay, positive mitzvah, and a negative mitzvah that can be fixed with an essay, and gomer, and a completely negative thing. It therefore means that all of the categories of mitzvahs that are by Pesach Rishon are there by Pesach Sheni as well. It says Bichlala, by generalizing of all of these mitzvahs, the mitzvah, the matzahs umroim ma ka merabe, and then you have that it should be eaten together with matzahs and maror. What is included in that? So what's included in it should be eaten together with matzah and maror. So what's included here? Says the Brisa tzli eish, that also includes that it has to have tzli, that it has to be roasted. Biprata my memayle, and okay, there's a klal and there's a prat. So what's excluded by the prat? Hashbasas sa'ar. That's the proof of the brisa. Hashbasas sa'ar is now excluded from this category. Meaning there is a klal and there's a prat, and from all of the klalim you learn klal halachas, but from the prat you're going to exclude something. So what's excluded? That which is excluded by our Mishnah, which is that there is no obligation of getting rid of your chametz. Says the Gemara Ipachana. Okay, I would have said that this should be the opposite way around. What do you mean the opposite way around? I'd include the isser of getting rid of your chametz and sa'ar, and maybe I should exclude the mitzvah of tzli eish. Says the Gemara, no, mitzvah de gufe adif. I think the pasuk would much rather be including things that are specific to the mitzvah of Korban Pesach and excluding things that are extraneous to it. Says the Gemara, okay, meaning that was an interjection, and now we're going to continue. From the klal of don't leave anything until morning, what's included in that klal is the isur of noisar. That's the klal, right? The klal, which is noisar, includes the isur of that you're not allowed to take any of the meat outside. That's the isur of tzas chutz. What's excluded? You have a klal and you have a prat. So what's excluded? The isur of you're not allowed to the isur of bal yirah bal yimatzeh, of ownership of chametz. Meaning we've excluded the positive mitzvah of destroying a chametz, and now we're excluding the negative mitzvah of ownership of chametz. V'lo yirah v'lo yimatzeh. Because this is something that you don't get malchus. So because the mitzvahs are hanitak le essay, meaning in both of these, bal yirah bal yimatzeh are isurim that's allowed by hanitak le. You can get rid of it later, and therefore that is what is excluded. Says the Gemara once again, v'ipagana. I would have switched it around. Maybe I should have thought that that the isur that we are going to exclude is that we're going to include is bal yirah bal yimatzeh, and not the isur of tzaz chutz. Says the Gemara, no, mitzvah shebegufe adif, the mitzvah that is begufe, that is specific to Korban Pesach, that's the one that we are going to include, and not the one that is extraneous to it. And then the third piece of the brisa, bichlala de etzem lo yishbru bai, from the klal of etzem lo yishbru bai, turning over the page. My ka merabe, what is it that we are going to include there? Al tachlim menu, no, the isur of don't roast, don't have it partially cooked. And what are we going to exclude? The isur of shechting it while having chametz, meaning the isur of owning chametz on the 14th of Nisan, or now in this case the 14th of Iyar. And the Gemara asks the same question again. I would have switched it around, and I would have said that the isur of owning chametz should be included, and the isur of roasting, partial roasting of Korban Pesach should be excluded. Mitzvahs the guvei adif. No, the Torah is including the thing that is more specific to the Korban Pesach. And Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with Tzadihei Amud Beis on Shabbos and on Matzah Shabbos, and wishing everybody a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh, Baruch Hashem, with an operational and standing Eruv. And we will see you, please God, tomorrow.